Hello everyone, I'm Colin Canet. Today's video is sponsored by Empower, and if you remember them, they're the same company that gave us this really neat router base attachment that I showed you a few months ago. But today we've got something a little bit different, so stick around, let me show you what we've got. Later on in the video, I'm going to show you how to make this really simple knife block. And I love it because if you've got a small kitchen counter space, it's got a small footprint. It's perfect for that. But first of all, I want to talk about knife sharpening and how it pertains to woodworking. Now, when I was first shown how to sharpen knives, I got a stone, and basically we used this sort of method where we were sharpening across the stone. Now, we do a similar thing with plane blades, and here's one of the problems that comes up from time to time. When you sharpen across like that, and if you take any blade, plane blade, knife blade, and sort of cut it in half at the very tip, where the cutting edge is right there on the wherever the last pass is, very often there's a little ridge, and I'm exaggerating it of course, there's a little ridge of metal that forms down there, and you can see how that impedes the blade from being sharp. Now, the other thing that makes knives dull is that when you look at the very length of the blade, and often this happens when they're in the dishwasher and clanging against other metal instruments, they get these little gouges like that. And that makes knives, as they're cutting, it grabs whatever it is, so it tears that, and it continues, then it tries to cut, then it tears again. So that's another thing that makes knives dull. That's why you never want to put them in the dishwasher. Now, let me show you why this is such an innovative idea. So what they have is something they call their Fastrack knife sharpening system, and it uses these little diamond chips, these little diamond sharpening stones, and it comes with the 220. You can see the 220 grit there. I also asked for a 600 grit, and there you can see the 600, and look, they're even color coded. And the way they work is there's a little magnet in the back there, and these little chips just fit in there, and you can hear them click when they get in there. They snap in there. And the way the knife sharpener works, there's also a couple of magnets you can see behind my fingers. So what happens is when you put the knife in, it grabs against the back, and you don't have to push down, you just barely touch the diamond sharpening area and drag it across 4 or 5 times like this, then turn it around and do the same thing on the other side, and your knife is sharpened just that quickly. And the reason that this is such an innovative idea is, check this out. You're not sharpening across, so you're not creating that ridge. You're sharpening with the edge of the knife, so you're not creating that ridge. And that's why this is such an innovative idea. For anybody new to sharpening, this is just such a great system. And it'll do any size grit, or sort of any size blade that you want, and it just works the same way you do it one side on the other, and the same thing. Now, I have the 220 grit in here. Typically what I'm going to do is leave the 600 in there, so that all I have to do is touch up my knives every few days or so, because they'll already be almost sharp. And honestly, it just does such a great job. And you can test that by any piece of paper, and it just cuts it in any one of these. It just cuts so easily. And they also included on the back a real leather strop, so when you're finished sharpening with the stone, you can actually fine-tune that and get it even sharpener by using that leather strop on the back to get just a perfect edge on there. You can get a chef's edge that quickly and easily. It's a great little system. Now, I know many of you already know how to sharpen your own knives, but I also know that many of you have fathers, mothers, sons, daughters who could benefit from sharpening their own knives. And in my family, my wife would love to be able to sharpen her own knives. And that's why this is going in our kitchen with the knife sharpener attached. So I'll put a link to the router base so you can check that out. In the meantime, let's get on with making the knife block. Now I'm going to take a minute and cut the slots for the blades to go in, and I've installed my full kerf saw blade here so that I get enough width for the blades of the knives. And I only have one blade that's pretty deep or pretty wide, and it's a little under 2 inches. So I've set this at 2 inches. I'm going to cut that slot first of all, and then I'm going to stop the blade and lower it and cut the rest of the slots, and I'll make them about 1.5 inches. There's our knife block, and it's looking just great. I've taken a moment to sand everything down. There's the holder for the sharpener. I'm going to epoxy that on there just because it's quick and easy. It'll be done in 5 minutes. And I'm also going to epoxy these little ribs on the side here that we made earlier, and they'll look something like that. And when I come back, we'll be ready to put a finishing on it. Well, that concludes my video for today. And of course, the links will be in the description box and in the article on Woodwork Web. How to sharpen knives and making a great small footprint knife block. I'm Colin Canet for Woodwork Web. Thanks for watching.